Merry Christmas, Trinity. It is so good to see you all, at least virtually. Well, okay, I'll admit I'm recording this ahead of time, but when I get the email myself on Christmas Day that has this video, I intend to pray for all of you, and I hope that you will do the same. This is just a brief little message. I wanted to share with you a story. There is a story that one of the pastors I had growing up used to share every Christmas Eve. I also share it now, I'd say about half the time on Christmas Eve, but I didn't use it this year. And so I wanted to share it with you today. And it's a story about a man who lives kind of on the edge of town. You know, one of those houses that's right on the cusp of suburbia. You know, it's not quite open farmland anymore, but also not in the city. And he's got a little bit of land there and an old barn on the property off to the side and a great big picture window in front of his house. And he's there on Christmas Day, and he's looking out his big picture window, and he notices all these birds that are out there in the yard. And he's wondering, you know, it's cold. It's cold out there, and and windy, and those birds are just out there. And it's strange because there aren't really any trees around. So there's really no trees for the birds to go hide in and kind of have a little bit of shelter. There's not much shelter around at all, and he starts feeling bad for the birds. And so he thinks, well, you know what I'll do? I'll go out there and I'll open up the doors to the barn and I'll turn the light on. And surely the birds, if they see the light that's in the barn, especially as the sun starts to go down, then maybe they'll be drawn to that light and they can go in where they'll have some warmth and some shelter and at least won't be out in the harsh world. So he goes out, get bundled up, goes out, turn the light on, gets back in the house, and nothing. The birds don't get it. Yes, the light is right there, and yes, the warmth is there, but the birds don't understand it, of course, and so there they sit in the yard, still in the cold and wind. And so the man starts feeling bad, and you know, now he's invested, so he goes and gets some of the leftover bread from their Christmas dinner. And he says, well, maybe if I make a trail of breadcrumbs, literal breadcrumbs, and put somewhere the birds are and make a little trail over to the barn, that they'll eat that bread, and that will convince them and show them that there's something good over there, that they can find some shelter and some warmth. So he makes trail the breadcrumbs, and of course, nothing happens. The birds don't get it. They peck around the bits that are right at their feet, but doesn't go any further. And at this point, the man's frustrated, and he says, and so he just walks out in the middle of the birds and starts going like this, thinking he could shoo them into the barn. Now, I always wonder, his wife's probably in the picture window at this point thinking, huh. But either way, the birds still don't get it. Even when he tries to shoo them over to try to get them to the place where they'll have some shelter from the harsh world, all the birds do is flit around a little bit and fly up, wondering why this giant monster is flapping his arms, and then land down right where they were. And at this point, the man is frustrated, and he says to himself, here they are out in the cold and wind, out in the harsh reality of the world. And here's a place where they could have warmth and shelter and even some food with all the breadcrumbs I put in there. But if only I could become a bird, if only, the man says, if only I could become a bird like them and tell them and show them that there is warmth and light and shelter right there. And right at that time, the church bell up the road rang. And the man looked up and said, I get it. I get it. That's Christmas. I get it. Merry Christmas, Trinity. I hope you get it and find your warmth and shelter today.